I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press.
When I think about the Kings of Comedy in Chicago, I automatically think about Bernie Mac.
Yes.
What made him different than everyone else in the city?
Not just in the city, in comedy in general. I mean, Bernie took on a persona when he did stand up. Like that whole time trying to tell you, son, bitch. He don't talk like that every day. It's a character. And it was a combination of throwback to the old, with the eyes and the mannerisms and the dragon and the.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was him kind of like, because Tupac, in a sense, had his persona and he performed. So was Bernie kind of like, what was Bernie off the stage? What was that energy?
The real Bernie is the Bernie Mac TV show. That's Bernie. That's when he's sitting in the camera. Hey, America, I'm telling you right now, this is Bernie talking. Now on stage, he take it up a level and he throw a little extra slang, a little extra, accent on, the Southern and the swag. But Bernie commanded the stage and he was such a big character. And the thing about Bernie, at that time, he was the only one really doing movies during the Kings of Comedy. That's why he ended up closing the show, because we knew Bernie from his movie cameos, and he killed every part. And he has memorable characters in all his films. So, and he showed that range. I mean, he did everything from Jangalang, to a coach in certain movies, and baseball player in Mr. 3000, and and then the whole the black movie stuff he did in the 90s. Like with the booty calls and other things like that, and played preachers and all type of things. He was very versatile.
Any particular story between you and him, a conversation that stands out?
I have many Bernie stories, but one of the stories, man, I joke about it, but I think subconsciously he's part of the reason why I never really went to LA and played the game and slept on people's couches and struggled to make it to the game, to the level of the industry. Because I didn't need to, because I was making money in Chicago, and I've always I come from a background of entrepreneurship. I used to own a Subway sandwich shop, and before the Subway, I was in the streets, because I owned the Subway downtown Chicago at age 25. So, this is way before even Jared was the spokesperson. So Bernie, we had a couple of little conversations where he would give me advice. So this was one of the times I was just coming up in the ranks, and he had finally kind of acknowledged us. Because in Chicago, until Bernie said you was funny, or let you work his room, Milt Trenier's, he had this Tuesday night room, then you hadn't made it. We all wanted Bernie's seal of approval. So I had figured I finally got it because Teen Summit, the BET show, had booked he and I to be on a panel on the show, because the executive producer was in Chicago, and I was doing a charity auction where we were doing auctioning dates. So these were notable people in Chicago, and they were, anyway, so she saw me, she thought I was funny. I hadn't really made it yet, but I had done Comic View already. So they put me and Ellen Cleghorn, who was a black woman from Saturday Night Live, Bernie, and one other comic, I can't really think of who it is right now. So they put me and Bernie on the same flight in the same limo, to the studio. So we flew into Chicago, from Chicago together, and we were sitting and talking, and then we got in the limo, and he said, look here, man, I see you're coming up, you're doing your thing, but I tell you got to be original, you got to do your thing, but don't rush off to LA. He said, conquer your city first, then come to LA, because a lot of cats come out to LA too soon, and they end up being a small fish in a big pond. And he said, and some of them end up broke or sucking dick. And I was like, broke or sucking dick? I'm like, it ain't no other in between, like broke and selling cars or broke and waiting tables. It's either broke and sucking dick. So I'm like, well, let me wait. So that was a really funny story. But we also had lots of memorable backstage moments during the Kings of Comedy. Like if you look at the documentary they did on Bernie, Comedy Central did, I believe, right as he's coming off stage, either coming off or going on, he's coming off, he had just finished, and it's a group of people standing there, slow mo shot. And he stopped and he gave me some dap, because we were Chicago, I'm like, good hit, pimp, and he went on about his business. Yeah, so we had a good rapport, man, and earning his respect was really important to me. And so later in life, after Ocean's 11 and he had blew up and everything, right toward the end of his life, I was planning a tribute to him. And I had got a resolution from the city to make it Bernie Mac Day in the state. And he agreed to come and accept it. And he said he wanted to do some stand-up, because he had told me he was about to do a stand-up special. He was going to do a tour. He was going to film it, and then that was going to be his retirement from stand-up because he was dealing with his ailments.
Wow,
and
so
his,
he already had a game plan.
yeah, his show had already made it to syndication, so he was basically just going to do the movies. And the crazy and sad part about that is the day that we had designated as Bernie Mac Day is the same day that became his funeral. And they used that same resolution and presented it because it was already in the books. And we never got a chance to do that. And to be honest, and I'm not just saying this, he had said to me he wanted me to go on that tour with him. And
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press.
Tommy
Yep.
passing.
Yep.
How did his death impact your own?
Man, I felt that because Tommy was the only dude on the show that I really, kept in touch with and hung out at his house and talked and, Tommy was cool. I was on the road in Baltimore. He came out, man, because he was doing something in Baltimore and came out to the show. We hung out, and to hear that, man, that was Dee Dee's mother, the little girl from Bernie Mac show. Mother called me and told me about Tommy because they was tight, and that was a tough blow right there.
And it have like a wake up call and like for yourself. How did you?
With me, man, because I want to get knee surgery. He went in for knee surgery and ended up,
right.
So
he went in for knee surgery and ended up,
right. So I'm like, I put that knee surgery off for a while.
No real deal.
Yeah. So that junk. That shouldn't have happened. That seemed like something that shouldn't have happened.
That shouldn't have happened. That seemed like something that shouldn't happen, man.
But it was a tough blow, man. Even when Bernie passed, it was tough, man.
Yeah,
it was tough, And Bernie, man, was one of the coolest dudes you could ever meet. I mean, Bernie used to, man. He tell you to come up to like during lunch, man. He had the buffet in this room. He like, yo, man, y'all ain't gotta worry about it. Come up to the room, man. They got a whole lot of food. I mean, that's how he was, He was a cool cat, man.
Yeah, I mean, did he ever talk about what he was trying to do before, like his passing? Did you ever kind of get into like what else was he trying to accomplish? Because I feel like with the show, to me, that's what a lot of people want. They want their own show, especially with their name on it.
Well, I ain't really get into that about it, about what he wanted, but I just know that he was very passionate about his work. I believe they probably worked him to death because he was trying to promote
Was it Mr. 3000 at this time?
Yeah, it was something like that. He was trying to promote it, and they just like kept running it, man. To come do this. What's the one with what's that show? What that movie? Oceans.
Oceans 11,
yeah, they kept
13.
because Brad Pitt had hurt his ankle, so they was trying to push production so that Bernie could do it, and Bernie was like, he told us, man. He said, man, it was like the mob, man. It's like they was like, yo, Bernie, we made you, man. You doing this thing over here, and we got this thing, and so I think they ran him to death, though.
Back this way with an aneurysm. He tried to start a mutiny there, saying, we can't have this, we all got to shut this place down. This place is the devil, he said.
He was awesome. He tried to basically save me. Spoke up for me there. He said, we can't be doing this to a human being. I've seen enough of this. This is foolishness. Well, other people started to join in with them, so Elizabeth put a stop to that real quick. They cut him up for hours. And they made everybody sit there and watch him getting chopped. As an example.
Doing well, all of us up in here. God done blessed us. But I've still got that old ghetto mentality. If I die all of a sudden, they gonna be penniless. I don't want nobody to enjoy shit I don't want nobody driving my boat. I don't want nobody sitting up there. You know,
all that's just going back.
Yep.
All that's just going back.
It's a damn shame how Bernie left his peoples. I ain't leaving nobody nothing. I got my wheel all done. I got it on tape and everything.
Yeah, everything with you.
Good.
Wheel, you on tape?
I'm not here now.
I'm not here now.
But I just want to say to all my aunts, uncles, you know, that I had a good time while here on Earth. I'm gone now. There's no funeral. I know you're all pissed off about that right now. But I'm gonna leave you all just what you all left me. Shit. I'm not giving. I paid all my life. I paid y'all rent, y'all car notes, helped out, school tuition. I just don't want nobody banging my wife when I'm gone, sitting on my bed, wearing my robe, my jewelry, and driving my boat. Is that selfish? Is that selfish?
You just letting it all go back.
I'm letting it go back. The whippings, but we all grew up and got.
Bernie Mac sold his soul. They don't even let you see things like this until you sell your soul. So when Bernie Mac got that show, he had sold his soul. The Bernie Mac show. Then he started getting movies. But way before then, he was just doing comedian. They didn't show Bernie nothing. When Bernie started getting his feet wet, they started taking him to Pandora's box. His mind was blown. But then they put him under the oath where he won't talk. You know, throw the goat up here and there, put your hands in pyramid. That's the oath. So as Bernie started making more money, his name became a household name. They started taking Bernie to the clone lab, because there is a thing called clone lab, and they all over. They're not just in America; they're all over the world. All right, they control them anywhere. Rich folks, they're always in places you never think they are. It's like it could be a desert, like nothing exists, and it's this one fucking pond of water or some old trees. That's usually where it's at. It's underground. They got it, man. It's just like the movies. They telling you the truth in the movies. So nevertheless, Bernie Mac was introduced to the clone lab. They take you there. They took him there. They let him see the fights. At first, he thought it was cool, you know. It was like eyes wide shut. They screwing in front of you. They doing bizarre things, man. Bestiality. You going, damn, right? But the part that tripped him out, how they showed him. They literally showed him how they clone people. They take the real person and put them off to the left and make two more of you. It blew his mind. Just like they did the dogs, the fish, all of that. He was like, wait, I'm tripping. That ain't a real person. Then they start, they stab the person to make you see they bleed. They're real. And they can feel that pain. You understand? So his mind is blown. Now, he done been a couple of times, and the only time they would be willing to put you in shackles so you don't talk, if he's not bringing revenue. But Bernie Mac is funny as hell. Bernie Mac bringing a lot of money, so they say, well, go on, let him make movies. He ain't gonna say nothing. He know what's good for him, and who's gonna believe him anyway, right? So this was heavy on Bernie, very heavy on him, but they already had him chipped. Once they take you to the clone lab, you have to get chipped. Steve Harvey is chipped. Oprah's chipped. D.L. Hughley is chipped. Said Entertainers. That's why they don't say nothing. And this is what happened to Bernie. When Bernie started to have these conversations, they can hear everything he's saying. So they made him go into pain more. So they can put your body in pain. He started, I'm hurting. So Bernie had a talk with Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, and Said Entertainer, because he believed he could talk to them. He's like, man, we got to tell somebody about this shit, man. Cloning people? They advised him, hey, man, this shit been going on since the 40s. We're going to make our money. Steve Harvey, big lip ass, right? So Bernie was really adamant about it. It was heavy on his head. So Bernie did the King. They let him do that tour. He came back. He still was cool. But shortly thereafter, he did a movie with, I believe, with Samuel Jackson. I ain't for sure. And he was still good. But shortly after that movie got done, he kept bringing it up. So Steve goes and rat him out. Well, they knew what he was saying, but Steve was like, he's becoming a problem. So they hold a meeting without Bernie. And they asked D.L. Hughley the same thing. Hey, what is he saying? He's saying that we gotta expose this. Okay. They amped his chip up because the chip controlled every vital sign in your body. Bernie got real sick, went to the hospital. And they knew what was going on. Steve Harvey knew. D.L. Hughley knew. Said the entertainer knew that they ratted him out. And he knew that death was coming. They knew death was coming. Bernie wasn't assured at the present time. But when he started getting real sick, he said, these motherfuckers doing this to me. But Bernie did tell his wife what was going on. And she been scared shitless ever since. And they didn't want him to tell her too much. So they turned it all the way up and killed him while he was in the hospital. And they didn't have to be there. They did it by remote control. That's how cloning works, and that's how the chip works. It works by remote. So somebody could have been acting like a janitor or acting like they dare to see their loved one, could have been sitting in a weight room and hit the remote to turn his chip up to send him to fatal, which is death. That's how Bernie Mac left here, being ratted out by Steve and DL. All them niggas so fake, man.
Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings. Effective immediately, no federal agency may support, fund, or undertake such activity. Of course, a great deal of research and activity in this area is supported by private funds. That is why I am urging the entire scientific and medical community, every foundation, every university, every industry that supports work in this area, to heed the federal government's example. I'm asking for a voluntary moratorium on the cloning of human beings until our Bioethics Advisory Commission and our entire nation have had a real chance to understand and debate the profound ethical implications of the latest advances. As we gain a fuller understanding of this technology, we must proceed not just with caution, but also with a conscience. By insisting that not a single taxpayer dollar supports human cloning, and by urging a moratorium on all private research in this area, we can ensure that as we move forward on this issue, we weigh the concerns of faith and family and philosophy and values, not merely of science alone. Thank you very much.
Be the headliner of the motherfucking Kings of Comedy. They used to let Steve Harvey was the headliner because at the time he was having the most shit. He was the most famous motherfucker.
Right.
But he was bombing too many nights coming behind DL, Sid, and Bernie. They had to make him the host. But Steve Harvey found a way. Even though he wasn't talented, he still found a way to become.
That nigga got talent, man.
I'm just saying, man. The nigga was bombing every night on that Kings of Comedy.
I mean,
nigga.
yeah, that's different, but he got some talent.
Because he going after motherfuckers. You can't go after motherfuckers. Man, let me tell you something, man. DL, then come Sid, then come Bernie,
Yeah, that's
and
treacherous.
then Steve. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. That shit ain't gonna work. They made Steve the host. So Steve can't get booed every night.
How would Damon do if he followed them?
What? No, let me tell you something. Damon did fuck
really?
with the Kings of Comedy.
Oh, that's dope.
He was one of the openers.
Right.
Old boy Latham gave him $500. You got to get there. You got to put yourself up. Want me to tell you how I know this? Because on my mama, it was offered to me.
Right.
I was like, get the fuck out of here, nigga. You ain't finna have me on no tour for no $500.
Right.
$500 when Damon was opening up for the Kings of Comedy. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Am I lying, Damon? $500. You get there, you put yourself up. Get the fuck out of here. When I did the Kings of Comedy in Seattle, Me and Bernie Mac wasn't even cool like no best friend niggas. But Bernie Mac knew me from the circuit.
Right.
And I went up there before them. No music, no nothing. They just opened the curtain and put me out there. Ripped that motherfucker. That nigga Bernie was like, hey, man, this nigga on, man. Woo, 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 woo. I never forgot it. This is my Bernie Mac moment.
Right.
Bernie was like, man, let this nigga open up the tour. Woo, 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 woo. But dude ain't want to give me no cheese. So when I saw Damon doing that shit, I was like, but look, nigga, how you open up for the Kings of Comedy and you still ain't make it? Let me tell you why. Because you's an opener, nigga. You are opening act. You gotta have the courage to find Steve Harvey and say, Steve, sir, show me how you did it. Show me how you made it with no talent. That's what you have to do, my nigga. I'm trying to tell you, all that shit you did to me, and I'm still giving you the game right now. You need to find a talentless comedian who made it and ask him, what do you have to do to get it? Even though I can tell you, it's either kiss ass or fuck boys. Steve Harvey kissed ass. That's how he got it. Everybody thinks Steve Harvey's some stand-up ass motherfucking man. No, motherfucker, he kissed ass. Old girl who owned TV One, he used to kiss her ass. That's how he had the radio show out here. And when he found out he was getting fired, he cried. Cried on air.
Look it up.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up. Steve Harvey is in a position of relevance right now because he knows the motherfuckers to get up under.
All have careers to prove it, but as you can guess with anything, there's always a natural rise of competition and being compared to your peers. One of the first times audiences got a chance to notice any sign that not all the men were happy about their careers was actually shown during the comedy special version of the Kings of Comedy tour. You see, Bernie Mac boldly would tell the camera how scared America was with giving him his own show in comparison to his own tour mates. During an interview this year on The Breakfast Club, D.L. Hughley would confirm Bernie's problem with not having a show at the time and how it made Mac honestly feel some type of way about it. But as time went by, however, America appeared to no longer deny Mac's talent, and in 2001, he would hit Fox with his own show, The Bernie Mac Show. Now, all the Kings were being recognized on TV and building their profiles. If they were ever to reunite for a new Kings tour, it would be a sure sellout. However, in an interview with GQ back in 2003, it became very clear that things weren't the best between the men, in particular Bernie and Steve Harvey. It was suggested that Harvey was jealous of Bernie's then rise, and even suggested that Harvey tried to replace him in 2000's Charlie's Angels. Rumor has it that a rep of Harvey's contacted the director of Charlie's Angels and tried to convince them that Harvey was a better option over Mac. Mac would go on to comment on the rumor during his talk with GQ and shared some unflattering thoughts about Harvey. Man, I heard about that. I was told about it. You know these people. Are you surprised? Tell me, are you really surprised? It's always about him. Go back and look at the Kings of Comedy tapes. Whenever he introduced his buddy, Cedric the Entertainer, it was all about himself. So yeah, I knew about it. Did it piss me off? Nah, you can't piss me off. You ain't that good. Now, as you can imagine, Harvey was very upset about Bernie's comments and would publicly address them in an interview with journalist Ed Gordon back in 2010 on BET. I was upset at first because it just wasn't true. Me and Bernie had a lot of good times together, and then this article in GQ came out and put all this vicious stuff in there. B said he never said it. I had to take him at his word for it. Whether that particular moment was the reason for their feud or not, both Cedric and DL have confirmed that Mac and Bernie were at odds at least one point in time. In his recent interview with The Breakfast Club, DL would confirm Steve and Mac's feud was partially one of the reasons why a Kings of Comedy reunion.
A King of Comedy? Where the Kevin?
No, they consider that.
Oh, that.
Like when after Bernie left, them same three guys I'm telling you about, the Kings.
Yeah.
Right? Because DL is the greatest.
Yeah.
There's no DL slander gets tolerated. But they came to me. I was supposed to be the fourth king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour. Not it was going to be called the Kings of Comedy. It was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. Of course you got to close if it's your tour. That's why it was such a big deal. But you couldn't do it because you can't beat the best. And until you humble yourself, you will forever be kinged by the king. And because you finally did it, because you didn't have no other choice, and now that he gone, you gonna act like he wanted to be a movie star. You stop it. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here. Get out of here. Get your ego out of this. You let the best be the best, right?
Cat Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming on, bro. I really appreciate that. Thanks for sharing the stories.
Bernie Mac was close, man.
My guy.
Yeah.
That's he was in, he was in Who's the Man with us.
Yeah. Who's the Man. And this is before he became who he ultimately
But he never changed.
Mm.
After the Kings of Comedy, Bernie never changed, bro.
Wow.
Bernie didn't let Hollywood or success or anything go to his head. He was always the Mac man.
I heard he still lived in Chicago.
Yeah, bro. Bernie he's an original, man.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of cats scared to go after him on the stage.
Yeah, massive. I mean, I know he kind of alluded, or I've heard you kind of allude to what happened between him and Steve.
Well, that's what all I can say is what Bernie told me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was upset with Steve because he said Steve tried to get him taken off for the Oceans movie he did.
Oceans 11?
Yeah, and tried to vie for his part after he already got hired.
Wow.
And Bernie never lied to me. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
He was my friend. I loved him, man. I love B-Mac, bro.
I was waiting for that to come up because all along y'all was saying y'all don't know why the beef was. That was the main reason for the beef. The beef started when Steve Harvey, and everybody knows that is true, that his people did call up there and try to get the role. So the mere fact of him saying everybody was trying to be a movie star or whatever, he was trying to. He just didn't have the same opportunity. And that's where the problem came along at. And when Bernie found out, he continued to do the tour for a while, but it was hard to do it with knowing that he felt that Steve was a snake. And that's what the truth is.
After the movie, man, that was probably...
Blessing and a curse?
Yeah, the four of us. It was the largest comedy movie ever in history. We split up.
You wish you would have stayed, kept it together, could have kept it together a couple of...
We tried everything. But, you know, dudes felt like they was movie stars. I never saw myself as a movie star. Just let me go be me. So I knew. But Bernie got a lot of roles. Sid got a lot of roles. So I just knew. But the thing that they did, though, when they went and got so many roles, they stopped doing stand-up.
Right.
Me, I felt so strongly about stand-up, I never stopped.
Right.
When I got my TV shows, I still toured on the weekend.
Right.
By myself, take 2 people with me. Radio City Music Hall. I stayed right there while the guys was doing the movies. Why?
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.